Here today with Anne Thomas, who's recently become a contributor for My French Life magazine. Welcome, Anne. I have to say, I love your writing. It seems to, for me, it transports me. You write beautifully about nature. To me, often it's like poetry. How did you learn to write?
Well, first of all, it's very kind of you, and it really warms my heart to hear that kind of reaction to my writing. And I mean, you've really actually hit the nail on the head with the poetry thing. I consider myself a poet. I've spent a lot of time writing poetry as well as this more prose, creative nonfiction, you could call my current focus. And as early as 4 or 5 years old, I was writing little poems about nature. So it's really comes from somewhere really quite deep. And before I became an ecologist, before I started studying ecology, I imagined myself as a writer or an artist, actually. I don't really do art anymore, but at least not as a practice, but as a child, that's what I loved, and it's still true today. And as I was studying ecology and science, I knew that it was going to be crucial for me to keep in touch with my writing and continue to develop it. So I took writing classes in college, and it wasn't really until I came to the UK and happened to learn about a writer called Robert Macfarlane, who's very popular in the UK, but I hadn't heard of him. He's a landscape writer or a place writer. He's kind of pioneered. Well, he's one of the um, main flagship writers of this genre today, I think, where he's writing about nature and people and landscape and how all of those things interact. And hearing from him, and he lives in Cambridge, so I went to a talk by him. I started reading his books, and this really crystallized for me the kind of writing that I wanted to do. And I sort of began studying his writing and the other writers that he writes about, and began writing a blog about Cambridge at the time, and now about France, and continued writing poetry and tried to fuse all of these loves and interests together. And that's how my writing has been developing over the last few years. Um, but I also read a lot. I read fiction, I read nonfiction, poetry, and I think that's a really crucial part of it as well.